Hello and happy Friday, gamers. It is Breakfast with Boom. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. I want to say welcome to today's program. We have an outstanding show. Get ready, grab your coffee, grab your bagel, grab your whatever you enjoy eating in the morning, because obviously this is Breakfast with Boom, and get ready for 2 hours of awesome video game talk. We're going to be covering the Sony State of Play, which was a bit disappointing. No surprises, even though they told us what they were going to deliver. Sony could have surprised us, and they didn't. And I saw a lot of people in the chat very early, often that they were a little disappointed with the way my title was of the show, which I thought was weird. But I'm going to get into why I think you folks, you PlayStation gamers like myself, I'm asking for better. If you don't want to ask for better, that's entirely up to you. But if I recall correctly, Web Dave, the conversation last year and many years prior to Microsoft getting their shit together, we were told by PlayStation players that we need to ask for better. That's something that was a running theme for many years. And well, PlayStation players have not been given much this year. Spider-Man 2, let's not pull any shade on that. Spider-Man 2 looks absolutely astounding. I cannot wait for October 20th. I'm in like Flynn. Like I said, I ordered the controller, I ordered the plates. I'm all the way in. Spider-Man is going to be amazing, pun intended, but we cannot sit back on our heels and say what Sony showed. Now, you got to focus. That's back-to-back shows, Dave, of really poor Sony showings. Sorry, it is what it is. Web Dave, good morning, brother. Welcome back. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good, feeling refreshed, and I'm ready to take on the day, man. This it's gonna be a good show. We had lots to talk about, and probably a little salty taste in some people's mouths, but you know what? We're here for it.
Well, we're going to be speaking some truths,
Exactly.
and the truths sometimes hurt. That's what our pop always used to say. Fuzzy Belvedere, good morning. We also going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct. Now, for a lot of people, it didn't hit. See, now it hit for me for a lot of reasons because one, the original Paper Mario RPG remade, if you don't know, that was Square Enix and Nintendo teamed up all the way back then. I remember going to the store and buying the N64. I'm not the N64, the Super NES cartridge of that game, and that's why I cannot wait to play that. Obviously, they're revisiting Mario versus Donkey Kong, which I think is phenomenal. It looks fan-freaking-tastic, and of course, if you're an OG or an old bastard like myself, you'll appreciate the fact that there was something called F-Zero back in the days, which was amazing. And F-Zero 99 looks, oh my God, so good. So what I'm hoping, and you're obviously a Mr. Racer, that this sparks an interest in the franchise again, where they go and they take their talents that they used for Mario Kart and use all of that graphical power and prowess for a new F-Zero. Because the last one that we played that I thought was phenomenal was on the GameCube. That was F-Zero X, and it was outstanding. Good morning. How you feeling? Oh, you're muted, brother. There you go.
Sorry about that. Good morning. Good morning. Glad to be here. Yeah, F-Zero 99. That definitely sparked my interest.
Looks good. Nintendo Direct, looks really good. It's a bit graphics, but man, it's clean.
Yeah, it's nostalgia at its best. Plus, they have it where it's kind of like a battle royale now. So definitely digging that. But yeah, I think the Nintendo Direct kind of landed better than the PlayStation State of Play. But
oh, for sure.
Glad to be here. Definitely some stuff to talk about. Some baby steps. But
yeah, we're gonna talk about baby steps because that's what they opened with, and I got to be honest with you, it's not a good sign.
What was that, bro?
Fuzzy, we're gonna come to you in a second. I'm gonna welcome in a former member of Breakfast with Boom. He has returned because he is off this week, so he has no one. The man isn't watching him,
exactly.
So he can be here and he can hang out. First of all, John, what's going on, brother? Good morning, and yeah, I got for you,
brah. Yeah, that's as soon as that show opened, like I literally thought,
Bruh.
It was, what is this game? What are we watching here?
Oh, my
Okay.
goodness.
But Boom, thank you so much for the invite. Web Dave, Fuzzy, it's nice to be here with you guys. It's been a while since I've been on a Friday show with you guys, so looking forward to it. Apologies for coming in a little hot there at the end. Boom, real life kind of took over. So, but yeah, that state of play was something, right, guys? It was
It was something.
it was
Yeah.
something, yeah. I mean, I think that they did. I saw Keely and a bunch of people on social media before Damage Control kind of say, "Hey, set expectations." So for me, I went in not really expecting anything. We'll get into that. What I was expecting and wasn't there, but yeah, it's gonna be a great show, guys, and lots of laughs this morning. That's what this is all about: having fun and having a good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Why Kick a Moo Cow. He says Final Fantasy VII Rebirth looks like everything I wanted as a fan of the original. Only a matter of time when it hits Xbox, though, especially when Square complained about disappointing sales numbers. Yeah, we're actually going to get into it because Sony ultimately is a bit responsible for the situation that Square Enix is in. But you really can't put all the blame on Sony. Square Enix took the bag, right? They took the bag from Sony to lock up that game as an exclusive, and we're going to pull up a story
Bad
that
business.
on how much money they lost and what impact that's actually going to have on the company moving forward.
I have a spicy
Um,
theory on that, Boom. And when
yeah,
we get
you
to
know
it,
what?
I'll get into it.
Yeah, we absolutely will get into it. Final Fantasy VII, folks. Listen, if you, I bought it. I have the collector's edition right here, and Final Fantasy VII on the PS5 is astoundingly magnificent. I gotta understand it. It's more like Spider-Man as a franchise on PlayStation is a personal thing for me. I've explained it numerous times on what and my personal feelings on the Miles Morales opening, for which a lot of people just consider to be DLC, and that's fine. But I absolutely loved it, and what this particular Spider-Man 2 means to me personally because of the impact it had with me and my dad during the Symbionite saga back in Spider-Man 252 in the 80s, right? So it means something to me personally, which is why I'm super stoked. So no one is suggesting here on this panel that either of those two games that were shown should be diminished in any way. Spider-Man 2 is going to be amazing, no doubt. Final Fantasy 7 Part 2, if you want to call it, is going to be great. I have to actually finish Part 1. I'm almost like 3/4 through the game. It's like, you only have so much time in a day. So I'm definitely going to finish that before I start playing
Boom, did you
Part
see?
2.
Boom, did you see that they announced that it's gonna be on 2 disc? Like if that's a selling point. It's like, oh, it's on
It
two
was going to
disc.
be
I
on
was
two
like,
discs, I mean, that means that the game is either big or I don't even know how.
yeah,
What.
I guess that they were trying to pull on those nostalgia strings that it's
Yeah, well,
multi-disc,
the
but
original one had multiple discs. Yeah, and it
yeah,
was. I
but
remember
it's
having
kind
to
of like
switch it out. It was
when I
crazy.
saw that yesterday, I was like, okay, that's interesting that they announced that.
You know what's interesting? What they didn't announce and what was in the fine print. I'm not sure. And shout out to Jesse Norris of Xbox Era who actually saw this and pointed it out. That the exclusivity on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is only 3 months.
Yep.
Now, it did not specifically say what platform. Now, you can assume that it's going to be, I would imagine, PC.
Mhm.
But is it safe to assume that it might also be Xbox? And at Tokyo Game Show next week, just saying that Final Fantasy VII could be announced as a shadow drop into Xbox Game Pass. That's where I'm going with it. That's where my headspace is, and we're going to break down why this has to happen for Square Enix. We're gonna break that down momentarily. I want to welcome in everyone that's here. We're at, oh my goodness, we're already at 300 people. By all means, feel free to hit the like button. If you're new, you're finding the channel for the first time, I'd ask that you consider subscribing. I do 5 shows a week, Monday through Friday, all different panels, all different shows, all great content. And folks, listen, we don't use console war or negativity. Now, are we going to give Sony some business because of a very poor showing outside of Spider-Man and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Sure, because I'm just sorry to say, I would do the same if Xbox had that kind of a show. And they've had those shows, and we've given them the business. So if it's okay for me as an Xbox first guy to tell Microsoft about themselves, which I've done numerous times, and everybody on this panel has done numerous times. I think it's fair that if when Sony makes lays a stinker, that we are entitled to say, hey, you open. I'll put it to this way: when you open your show, just for advertising purposes, let's put our advertising hats on for a second, John, just for a second. You're producing this show. People are looking at you with a side eye all over the world because your June show was garbage. Let's call a spade a spade. It was pure garbage. Okay? You're selling stuff to people in your community that don't want gas games. They want single player games. They want God of War type stories. They want Last of Us type of graphics. They didn't have any of that outside of showing Spider-Man. Now, here's another show. They show Spider-Man, and I get it. Spider-Man's coming out on the 20th, which is only about 5 weeks away. But you open up the show, and think about this for folks, from metrics point of view. Put your salesperson hat on for a second. A person lying flat in the mud. That should have told you what this show was going to be. I'm sorry. I know people will be, oh, Boom, you're being a dick. No, let's call a spade a spade. You open up your show with a dude lying flat in the mud, and let's be honest, the game didn't look that great.
I thought it was a Borracho game. Remember from Mortal Kombat, Borracho?
Yeah. So
it was bad.
It's called Baby Steps, and listen, I call it taking a couple of steps backwards. That's not how you open up the show, John. Let's get into your thoughts on the show as a whole. And again, I'm telling you right now, folks, take nothing away from Spider-Man. The new footage and the fact that it's twice as big, and we got Brooklyn and Queens now, is dope. The fact that you're going to be able to customize your suits to your play style. There's over 50 suits in the game with comic depictions. Dope. But come on, man, John, this is not what the people were asking for. And what it ultimately does, at least in my opinion, John, is sell a very, very slow 2024 for PlayStation.
It certainly seems that way. It looks like they are going to have a couple of games to start off 2024 that was announced in the show. But as a whole, I have seen social media that the more PlayStation centric you could say content creators are a little disappointed right now. They were not that they were expecting, the world or anything like that, but they were just expecting at least one nice announcement and a couple of games, like for example Stellar Blade. I was fully expecting Stellar Blade to get a release date, right? Because they've showed that game multiple times and the show didn't deliver that, so that was quite disappointing for me. And I'm sure that many of the PlayStation gamers out there that have been waiting for content. And this all goes back to the things that I've been saying on a couple of shows that we've been together. Boom, this is the new PlayStation, and I think that the PlayStation diehard and the PlayStation gamers have to really start accepting that this is their future, and it's not doom and gloom or anything like that. PlayStation is selling very well. They're flying off the shelves. They've done very well with this price cut that they recently did, which was very strategic in my opinion to counter Starfield. And they do good business as always, right? They're the industry leader for a reason. When it comes to stuff like that, to marketing and to putting their name out there, they're the best there is, right? But these shows are starting. What's happening is that now it's starting to add up a little bit too much. And that's what I think the problem is, because you have a showcase this past June that they didn't have a show, 2 years prior to that?
2 years, yes. Almost 2 years prior, they did not have any kind of a presence. And then and everyone, including myself, I said it. And I was wrong. I was like, this is going to be the Year of Dreams Part 2, John.
Yeah, definitely.
It was
definitely.
more the year of
Everybody,
nightmares.
yeah, everybody was expecting that, and the
Yeah.
thing is that that's why it's very important. One thing that I've learned from following the industry like we do, that we listen to any news that comes in, any news cycle that comes in, is that we really have to have our ears open to what these to what the leadership is saying. And Sony's leadership, Jim Ryan, for a long time has been talking about things like the PlayStation core players not being enough for their first party games. So what happens? We start seeing the trickle down of now that they're releasing on PC. Before, the Sony diehard would tell you, no, that'll never happen, not in a million
Yeah.
years. Why would they do that? And listen to what leadership is telling you. Jim Ryan is telling you at face value what their future is going to look like. And Jim came out and he said that gas games are their future. That's what they're looking for. It's his mission to spend 60% of his wallet to throw at gas games, because they're looking for that 1, 2, or 3 titles that are going to propel them from a monetary standpoint for that, reoccurring income. So until they find that, guys, Jim's gonna beat his head on the wall until they find that answer, right? So Helldivers yesterday. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, that it looked decent. I'll give it a try on PC. I thought it looked good. Helldivers. It reminded me a lot of Star Wars, but that's not what the Sony core hardcore gamers are looking for. They're looking for their next
That's going to have a
Horizon.
niche audience, John.
Yeah.
Listen, I know that Keosante, who played the original on his PSP, I believe we were talking about, he said he absolutely loved it. It looks good. It has a very Destiny-esque kind of a feel to it. It certainly has an Outriders feel to it.
Mhm.
And the game did look good. There's no doubt about it. It
It
looked
looks like
chaotic.
Battlefront to me. To me, it looks like Star Wars Battlefront. Like it's like
Yeah,
like that's the kind of like the gameplay, and it looks interesting. Like I am gonna give it a try. Now I'm curious to know if it's free to play or if it's gonna be a $70 offering from them.
I
That's
would not be surprised if it's going to be a $70 offering. I don't
I
see that
think
being a
so.
free to play game for them. I just
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, I think so. So
Free and Sony don't seem to mix the same way with Nintendo and free. It doesn't, not part of their vocabulary.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they try to nickel and dime and monetize as much as possible, so that's to be expected. But like for example, now to kind of talk about Spider-Man a little bit. Look, I'm a Spider-Man stan. I'm a Marvel stan. Boom, Fuzzy Web Dave. You know that my left arm is completely filled with Marvel villains. I have a whole sleeve, so I'm in the bag for Spider-Man or whatever. Even the Kraven the Hunter movie, it's gonna be probably horrible, but I'll still watch it, because I
Yeah.
love comics. I grew up on this stuff, right? So they get me every time, and I have Venom tattooed on my biceps, so I'm very, very excited. It looks very good. It looks like a worthy continuation of what Insomniac has done with Spider-Man, and not to diminish the game at all, but me personally, I'm starting to get the feeling that Spider-Man is becoming kind of like a Madden-esque title for PlayStation, where are they going to have a Spider-Man game every like 2 years? Which it's not bad. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'll take it every time. But I don't know. Is that kind of like what their roadmap is here? That's what it looks like to me is that crazy theory here. Jim saw all of the games in his portfolio, and he said, listen, there's no need anymore to build any new experiences. I think that we can use all of the assets that we have internally between all the studios, and let's go crazy here. Let's make a God of War expansion now, that it'll be a standalone title of Atreus or something like that. Let's use Horizon's assets, and let's capitalize on that to make a Horizon multiplayer game, etc., etc. That's kind of like the template that I'm starting to kind of. It hasn't been proven yet, but I'm starting to get the feeling that that's the road that they might be going down. Now, is it strategic? I don't know. That's up to Jim, and he's the penny counter. So that's not our problem. Our problem is to play games. So this type of conversation kind of piggybacks on the fact that for years and years and years, the Xbox gamers have been told, ask for better, ask for better, ask for better. So it goes the other way too. you know. And I do see some of the PlayStation people asking for better, and they're saying, hey, what's going on here? They're starting to notice, okay? Because again, it's kind of hard not to say that there's a problem with their output of what PlayStation is going to bring for the next 2 or 3 years. Nobody knows. It's a mystery, right? Like right now, the only thing that you can say for certain that they're bringing out are gas games. Where are the first? Where's the bread and butter for PlayStation, which is that over the shoulder game, that that story narrative game that everybody loves? And I think it is a concern. Now, are you gonna ask later on about Final Fantasy, or do we want me to get into that real fast?
No. We what we'll do is we're gonna break it down one piece at a time, because I do
Gotcha.
want to spend I do want
Okay.
to spend some time on this, because shout out to, let me find them. Hold on. It's Nova Red in the chat. Now it's a name that I don't normally see. If you're finding the channel for the first time, dude, welcome. He asked a question, and I think it's valid. He says, "Can't you give a pass like you give Xbox a pass with broken promises?" See, so I'm going to assume, Nova, that you are finding the channel for the first time. So I'm going to allow that to be a question that is asked without being insulted, because anyone that's here, and we already have 400 people here, I'm serious when it comes to here. Integrity, honesty, and transparency are the foundations of this channel. Okay. Welcoming everyone of every platform, every race, creed, color, sexual orientation, or otherwise is also a key center to what this channel is all about. If you are finding the channel for the first time, you don't know that everyone on this panel gave Microsoft, specifically Xbox, a whole bag of shit last year because they didn't deliver. And
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, I was one of the first people to say this 12-month thing stinks and I don't like it. And they failed and they didn't deliver on it. That is water under the bridge. Okay. We are now in 2023. They have delivered tenfold. Okay. And they're going to continue to deliver. Now, let's look at what Sony is doing. Sony is being very coy. The biggest rah-rah moment for Sony in 2023 was their fight to try and block the deal. That's not good enough for gamers. Okay. You're getting Spider-Man, and I say we're all getting Spider-Man. I already have it pre-ordered. I got the digital deluxe edition. I'm in the bag. I bought the controller. I got the plates. I'm in the bag. But I am not going to for a second let up on the fact that Jim Ryan's PlayStation is not what I want. I don't
Yeah.
want gas games. I'm sorry.
And more importantly, to piggyback off what you're saying, the difference between this show and other shows that you may hear on the internet that it sounds like the criticism is unfair or whatever, everyone on this panel owns a PlayStation 5.
Yep.
Everyone. We all purchased it, we all game on it. So this is just criticism from consumers. That's all it is. And don't get in your feels for this, guys. It's just we're having a conversation here, and we're calling it like we see it. So
I think that's fair. Web Dave, let's bring you into the conversation. Look, the bottom line is Sony delivered another dud. Okay. They set expectations very low. I would say like Dollar Tree low expectations.
Yep.
Okay. And they delivered on that. You remove Spider-Man and Final Fantasy from the equation, the show's a 2. Okay. You add them to the equation, the show is a 5. All right. And I say that not to take away any shine away from either of those two mega franchises in Final Fantasy and Spider-Man. The truth of the matter is we've seen them a boatload of times. Yes, we did see some new footage. Yes, we got some new information. That's great. But is it enough? The answer is it absolutely is not enough. And I see people like, well, boom, they set expectations. They told you.
Mhm.
Sure, they told us. But you mean to tell me they couldn't surprise us? There couldn't be we got one more thing for you, and boom, it's a trailer for the new SOCOM in development, or the Resistance Fall of Man remake, or maybe a surprise MotorStorm remake.
or an update on Wolverine, something.
You mean to tell me that you as a diehard PlayStation fan walked away from this, but yeah, you know what? We're good. We got nothing to worry about. You're lying. You're straight up lying. Dave, let's talk about it.
Boom! They did show us something new, which was amazing. Which was 3 new colors that you can get the panels in and controllers in.
They're
Yeah.
metallic. What? Come on.
And
I did like the
the-
metallic blue. I'm not going to front, but
oh yeah.
It's gonna be cold when you touch it.
But the gray / dirty white kind of look like the system already looks now. It's just, but I'm just what I'm thinking. But no, it was lackluster. It was a waste of time. If a state of play was a POS, that was it right there. It was not good, dude. It really wasn't. And yeah, all the expectations were low. Well, that's pretty unfortunate that Sony has to set the bar so low. And the capper, the absolute start to the show, baby steps, and the character falling flat on his face in the mud, all that kind of smashing his face in the ground. It was like that was a metaphor for the way Sony PlayStation is going right now and heading into 2024. They are falling flat on their face over and over again. Now, I'm sure they have some games in the works, but some of the games they've got in the works are gas games that are going to be also on PC,
60%.
and a lot of diehard, fanboys, MBG or whatever his name is was losing his mind. He ended up giving the score. He rated it an A after it was all said and done. Even though he picked apart some of the bad things about it, he said, but it was a good state of play overall. I'm like, dude, you were fantasy land, dreamland. At least he didn't dress up like Solid Snake this time, so that was good, because he would look pretty ridiculous the last time. Sorry, people, I seem extra salty.
Oh man, I love Latino Heat Web, Dave. Keep on bringing it.
Let me tell
This
you,
is
man,
gold.
the Latino Heat,
This is
John
gold.
Luke is rubbing off on me.
I
But
love
no,
this.
man, I love it.
But
Wow.
we expect so much more from Sony, and I mean
You
the
do.
market leader.
Yeah.
Right
Come on,
now, I'm like, why the hell are they the
let's keep
market
it a buck,
leader?
as the kids say. You got to understand something, folks.
Yeah.
Okay. Microsoft has done, let's talk Xbox. They've done some pretty dumb shit. I mean, they certainly have. They've had their share of dropping the egg on the floor.
Yep.
But we cannot for a second forgive Sony for taking 2 years off, resting on laurels that they earned. Their first party games are brilliant. Now, maybe some people in the chat are like, well, boom, I don't agree with that. I hear you. I have a PlayStation 5 for those over the shoulder, story driven, adult themed content type of games. I dig those. Maybe some of the people don't like them. Maybe they're too samey for you. I hear you. But I like those games. But we cannot forget that after a 2-year hiatus, Dave, they show up with a stinker of a show filled with gas games that nobody asked for, whether you are a diehard PlayStation
Second
fan
stinker
or
in a row, Boom.
and this is now the second one. This is what I'm getting at. Please continue.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
But it's like enough. The only and people are like, well, now the bar was like, or the secret show, and it's like, then he had one. It's like, oh well, the next secret show is going to be coming out in November. Oh, is it maybe? Or and I'm sure they're going to have some kind of game announcement at the Keeleys, something, even if it's maybe an update at that point for Wolverine with still no date, but they'll probably have something to show, or something, because if they don't, people really need to be worried for Sony if they don't have anything at the Keeleys. And it's looking like they're not going to have anything other than some third-party mentions at the Tokyo Game Show, which is coming up on Thursday.
Yes.
And Microsoft is going to blow the doors off the Tokyo Game Show.
Think. I mean, if you consider who's going to be there, we have confirmation that Phil Spencer is going to be at the Tokyo Game Show. We have confirmation that Aaron Greenberg is going to be at the Tokyo Game Show. It's safe to assume Sarah Bond,
who
is a key figure in the relationships with Japanese studios that are making games for Xbox, whether that be multi-platter exclusive. She's probably going to be there as well. And again, we're going to get into the Square Enix situation. They're in a pickle financially. They lost $2 billion because of Final Fantasy 16's exclusivity deal with Sony. I have some numbers as for the what was sold in Final Fantasy 7, folks. It's not good. You know, the PlayStation players, Jim Ryan said it. I'm only quoting him. We're not enough because we're just not buying the games.
Yep.
And that's a fact. And I will again, you want to challenge my opinion, that's fine.
Oh no,
we can have a conversation.
That's out of Jim's mouth himself. Boom.
But the numbers don't lie, Dave.
And another thing, Dave, I'll jump in real fast.
Go ahead.
The strategy of releasing exclusive on PlayStation and then down the line releasing on PC is not working either. With the exception of, I think, Spider-Man and God of War, those have been the only success that PlayStation has seen outside of releasing day and date on PC. Those two games are really the only barometer for success that they have. Everything else with the delayed release on PC, I think it's hurting the capability of those sales. So that's another conversation, though.
Yeah, it's you're spot on. Absolutely. The stuff that they are planning, they need to let us know more about it. People are always bragging, and the only thing they come back to are their great system sales. Well, the reason the system sales are selling so well is because they were so hard to get for a long time.
Yeah.
And all those people that bought them up and were selling them at a higher price, because of all the great games and the market leadership. But the market leadership at some point is going to be in jeopardy. And Microsoft just keeps making steps toward the right direction. And it's, look, we need Microsoft, we need Sony, and we need Nintendo. If we don't have all those companies pulling and putting out great product, we don't have competition.
Yeah,
you have to have competition to make them work hard.
That's a
right
balance.
now. Sony feels like
they feel entitled.
Yeah, and they and they need to dig in and start pushing out something. Now, hopefully they are, and they think Jim's new direction, gas games, is the way to go. A little too late.
Well, Dave, and the last thing I'll say, because I'm actually waking up now from because I got out of bed and I came running over here, and now is when like the Latino heat. I'm waking up now. Okay, I'm fully awake. So I think that one thing that I forgot to mention, Dave, and you reminded me now when you were mentioning what you were saying, is that the template going forward looks like it's gonna be gas games throughout the year and one big title, like one Spider-Man, one Ghost of Tsushima. Yep. That's gonna be. I don't think that PlayStation going forward is gonna have multiple first-party big AAA releases anymore back to back in 1 year. I think that they're gonna hold one per year and then sprinkle in the gas games throughout. That's at least what I'm predicting here.
Agreed.
It's probably what is going to happen because, folks, I mean, let's Sony's games are so well produced. And they're usually like they release excellent. Now Horizons, didn't release good. That's why I didn't care for it as much. Too many bugs. It's fine. They wound up fixing it. Gran Turismo 7 was just egregious on every level.
What a mess.
But like when God of War, the second part came out, it was flawless, right? Spider-Man is probably going to be flawless as well. So they do spend a lot of money. Their games are costing a ridiculous amount of money to make. They need, and Spider-Man, let's not make a mistake here. It's going to sell 20 million copies. Now, maybe that's not the first, year. Maybe it sells. I predicted 10 million by end of year because obviously Spider-Man is a big IP. He's the world-renowned superhero. It's an exclusive to the box. They have nearly 50 million PS5s out there. This is a PS5 exclusive. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense that it's going to buy. People that have PlayStation 4s that were hoping for a PS4 version, they're not getting it because this game is it's a monster-sized game.
They better hope it sells, or else Marvel's going to start asking questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is the third Spider-Man in what was it, 5 years or something like that? That's
yep.
Yeah, it's their new expansion pack coming out, right? Oh,
well, I mean, it's double the size of the original 2018.
Yeah,
I mean,
baby
me personally, it's Queens and it's Brooklyn. I mean, those. I live in New York City, folks.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I live in Westchester, but I patrolled in New York City, and the city is huge. So
Can you
Well,
swing by
Dave,
the house,
Jigga J
Boom?
brings a good point. Did you have Taco Bell? Because he says that it causes Latino heat.
I did not have Taco Bell.
this
I did not.
Christmas.
Did not.
And
Not yet.
Big Mad Mo says what they showed was not a reason to buy a PlayStation 5, and
Yeah.
he's not wrong. Let's bring in Fuzzy Belvedere. Let's talk about the show, because then we're going to get into why Square Enix is in a pickle, and we got some stats and some numbers thanks to J Rock of Twitter, as well as a bunch of other people who've been tweeting left, right, and center regarding this. Let's get your take on the show.
I gave it a 6 out of 10. I guess I was a little more generous on the show. For the most part, we can at least thank Sony for still supporting the PSVR 2, considering the confusion as far as how well this thing is doing. They were like, oh, it's off to a great start. And then it's like, it didn't meet expectations. And, the PSVR is something that, even some of the, bigger content creators out there were saying that's collecting dust kind of thing. So to see that they're still making games is at least a positive sign that they're at least still supporting it, or maybe these are games that were already close to the finish line, so they might as well release some type of thing. But at least that thing is still on life support. But as far as the game shown, I mean, other than Spider-Man, Helldivers 2 was the only other thing of interest for me. Helldivers 2 basically being a Starship Troopers game. It looks kind of cool, but it's one of those things where I don't know if PlayStation guys will take to that game quite like if it was on a multiplayer platform like Xbox in comparison. So we'll see how well it does. But for the most part, that and Spider-Man were the only things of interest, and all the cool outfits and stuff as far as for Spider-Man. But it's about time they expanded on the New York map. So it's good to see that. And I'm assuming this is PS5 only, so shouldn't be any problems as far as
it is PS5 only. That's confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the bigger map, loading shouldn't be a problem. That SSD at work, but it is what it is.
Oh
but
my God.
the rest of the show just like I could see if it was like kind of like a joke game where the baby steps was like, something to kind of throw in there, but the lead off with it was kind of weird. I don't know if they were kind of testing things in that regard, but yeah, it just seems like Sony is not doing normal Sony things where they give you, a heads up 2, 3, 4 years out as far as the games on the roadmap. I mean, sure, yes, they listed third party and indie, but where's Stellar Blade? Where's Pragmata? I mean, there's a number of other third-party deals that they were quick to sign to prevent them from coming on Xbox. Where are they?
Yeah.
Like I know that one studio that was doing like a multiplayer shooter kind of thing, where they wound up laying off half the studio. I don't know if Bungie was part of the responsibility for killing that off, or if that just didn't pan out. We still haven't heard anything more about KOTOR. I guess that's indefinitely gone kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this should have been a little bit better show overall as far as third party is concerned. And I'll save the real smoke for when they actually have a showcase next year. But yeah, for the most part, all of those fake Sony insiders talking about a secret showcase, it's like, when was this secret showcase? I mean, it must be so secret. Even they didn't even know that it
Sony doesn't even know when
kind
it's
of thing.
happening.
So,
It's being held back from them. Yeah. Ridiculous.
but
And you know what's
hopefully
even
at
more
some point
concerning?
Sony steps up.
You know what's even more concerning for them, Fuzzy? I feel that Sony didn't listen to the feedback. That's what I think that is the most disappointing thing. And we're not fully invested into the PlayStation ecosystem. For us, it's all right. Well, that's what you're going to be offering. That's fine. We'll play Spider-Man, cool, whatever the case may be. But for their gamers, they really did not listen to the feedback from that June showcase. And if they would have at least had that one more thing that I think everybody was really hoping for.
Yeah, and for the most part, the one more thing wound up being Final Fantasy, but that was kind of already known from the summer games of the summer with the Keeley and stuff. So Hopefully, I still have the box. I still play GT7 on it. Still hoping at some point they move that over to PC, but I'll be honest, Nintendo show held my interest more between the Outrun knockoff, what was it, Horizon something 2 or something that
Yeah,
they
dude, it
had,
looked
and
really
then the
freaking good. And so
Yeah, it looked
F-Zero
cool.
99. Then they have
yeah, F-Zero.
they have the new Peach game. Like I said, they have the
Yeah.
Donkey Kong versus Mario.
Oh, dude, my daughter wants that bad now. That
Of
Peach
course,
game,
dude.
they got her.
Finally, they're trying to appeal to a female demographic, which you love to see.
And it
Yeah.
looked great. It really
It
did.
looked fantastic, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully Sony gets back on their horse as far as the old days of wowing us and stuff like that. But right now, somebody that's not normally into Nintendo, I had more to take away from the Nintendo show than the state of play.
Yeah, and we're
That's
actually
all.
going to get in. We're going to get into the Nintendo show because there really was a lot there. Like I saw some people trying to downplay what they showed, and maybe a lot of those games are not for you. But from a nostalgic point of view, it was screaming my name. Gentlemen, let's move on to Final Fantasy VII. Rebirth. Let's talk about what's going on with Square Enix because I think that there is really there's a major problem here. So shout out to J Rock of Twitter who is consistently getting out there on the socials and giving us the information that we know that we wanted and sometimes information that we didn't know we needed. If you're curious, folks, and you want to know how well Final Fantasy VII sold, well, thanks to J Rock, we have the numbers. Now, this is official numbers from Square. This is from 2020 when it was Final Fantasy VII Part 1 released. And this stat includes Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate, which was the upgrade to it. Okay? Two different titles. Two titles sold separately. What's interesting here, and I think what's more concerning than anything, is when you merge 118 million PlayStation 4s, which were able to play Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then you turn around and you add, let's just say, half of what. Well, you know what? We're going to go crazy here. 45 million plus PS5s that are available. Merge the numbers, folks. I'm no mathematician. That's almost a little over 160 million PlayStation consoles combined. That's a lot of consoles, right? So now this is where we get ridiculous. According to the actual stats, this is Square Enix. They have sold and shipped 7 million copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate versus 160 million PlayStation units out there that are able to play this game. That's why they're in trouble. Unfortunately, Square Enix bet on Sony, which is the market leader currently and continues to be the market leader and probably will be the market leader for a couple of years until Microsoft integrates all of these new studios and they're pumping out 4 and 5 AAA bombs per year, and then Sony's not going to be able to keep up. Then that's when you're going to see the grip is going to start to loosen, maybe even slip. 7 million, folks. I mean, again, let's put on the big boy pants, folks, and let's talk some numbers. 7 million copies shipped and sold, both digitally and physically, versus 160 million consoles out there. Folks, you're not enough. We're not enough. And Jim Ryan told you to your face that we're not enough. And here's a perfect example. Well, I want to continue this spiral down the drain for Square Enix. Let's pull up a story from GameIndustry.biz. Now, I really don't really care so much for them, so I'm not going to click on the article, but I'm going to give you the information that was sent to me privately. Square Enix has lost over $2 billion in its in value since Final Fantasy 16 launched on PlayStation 5 as an exclusive. So all of the money profit that they made last year has been wiped away with one release. Final Fantasy 16 not releasing on PC and not releasing on Xbox or anywhere else but PlayStation 5 cost the company $2 billion. This is why they're probably going to be filing for Chapter 11 or get acquired, because this exclusivity deal, even though it's their fault and they took the bag from Sony, what do you think? Why do you think they had Phil Spencer come out on stage? Because they know that there are people in the Xbox community that are thirsty for Final Fantasy VII content, like that you find on your PlayStation 5. Unfortunately, the PlayStation 5 community is not supporting it. Now, am I here to say that the Xbox players will support it more? Well, I honestly don't know, because Xbox has a ton of their own first-party RPGs, i.e. Starfield, which is just killing it. And we're going to get into where people are, your level, what you're thinking about the game towards the end of the show. I want to go first here to Fuzzy. I'm going to rewind the panel here. Fuzzy, these numbers are grim, and it speaks of really poor decision making at Square Enix. It does potentially suggest that Sony, being the market leader, they bet on Sony, they bet wrong, and they lost $2 billion. So if we take three Final Fantasy releases and you just look at the poor sales, it makes sense that why at the end of the PlayStation Showcase, when you read the fine print, it says only a 3-month exclusivity deal for Final Fantasy VII Part 2. Makes perfect sense. Now, again, we can suggest that it's going to be on PC immediately, which makes sense. But I'm telling you, folks, next week is the Tokyo Game Show, and Phil Spencer has already been up there with Square Enix. I would not be surprised in the absolute least. And now remember, this is not me throwing it out there that I know something. This is just a shot in the dark, and I could be wrong. They get up on stage, Microsoft, they're going to be there in a big way, and they announce that Final Fantasy VII Remake day one in Game Pass right now, Shadow Drop. And then, of course, then the information comes out that next year, after the 3-month exclusivity play that Sony has locked up, Part 2 is going to come to Xbox. I wrote the script for it. It sounds perfect. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Let's talk about this, Fuzzy.
Yeah, that idea I would say it'd be a perfect ending to the year, as far as with all the closeness that Xbox and Square have had over this past 6 months or so. It'd be a great way to finish out the year. But their previous president definitely made some poor decisions as far as taking the bag, I guess you could say, as far as from Sony. And in I guess most situations it would have paid off, but it just seems like other bad decisions that Square's made by selling off their other studios, which they always dog them about not meeting expectations. It's almost like, what expectations does this company have? And are they not able to kind of scale a game based on those expectations? But I think the big thing now is Tokyo Game Show is right around the corner. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bigger announcement as far as, and I know people are probably tired of acquisition stuff. We still got ABK lurking in the background, but hopefully that gets wrapped up here, by this time next month. But I would not be surprised if Square, after losing $2 billion in value, if acquisition isn't, further on the table. We know that, Microsoft has targeted Square in the past, and that there have been talks. Maybe that, kind of led to part of the reason why, they got rid of, Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal and stuff. But I think Square is at a crossroad now where, if they're not acquired by Microsoft, because it doesn't look like Sony is willing to acquire them. They're willing to drain them for every drop they can.
Well, I mean, just look at but see, here's the thing, Fuzz. You bring up a fantastic point. Like, I was one of the first people to say it's almost like written itself why Sony would invest, right? It makes perfect sense, but it makes perfect sense when listen, folks, I'm not a numbers guy. I don't have a degree in business. I'm a retired New York City police officer. What the hell do I know? I'm just reading the stats to you. But I mean, if you want to put on your investor's hat, why would Sony invest in Square Enix when their games are not selling like gangbusters?
Yeah.
If Final Fantasy VII Remake, which by the way is brilliant, absolutely astonishing how good that game is, and it only moved 7 million copies in 2 different versions, over 160 million plus consoles out in the wild. If you're Sony, you're like, well, we're not going to buy them for 3 billion or whatever it is, because why? Because if they're not buying our games, why are they going to buy them when they're exclusive? They're just not.
Yeah.
So they literally, you said it, they're draining them dry like a vampire.
But who said that's not part of the plan? Because Jim,
that's
where the
we
tin
will get to you.
tinfoil hat.
I knew
Yep.
that's where you were going, John. We will get to you in a heartbeat. But your opinion is solid and very sound. But please continue, Fuzzy.
Yeah, I just hope Square is able to kind of get back on their feet at some point, and whether that means having more of their titles released the same date on Xbox or not, or whether it's broadening their scope as far as PC releases, because Final Fantasy 16 not releasing on PC I think was a serious mistake, but that's nor here nor there. But
now it's too late.
Yeah, I think this new president is a little more keen on business sense of things, but we'll see next week if there's any big announcements, whether it's Xbox related or just Square related in general. But yeah, they're going to have to figure something out, because we don't want to see them go away. Or I would say in a perfect world at this point, the way that they're headed, maybe Capcom should acquire them type of thing, and kind of move them into the fold that way. But that's a whole other can of worms. But yeah, I think they're going to have to look at Xbox and PC more to kind of recoup some of the losses or expenditures that they're unable to keep up with, type of thing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. First of all, before we bring in John Wolf on this, I want to catch up on the super chats. There's been quite a few of them. The first one of the day comes from our good friend Drawn TJ. Just very generous $2 super chat and says, "Hi guys, no PS6. King David is right." I don't know, man. I mean, I understand what King's putting down, and he's usually usually right on his theories. I just can't see them not doing a PS6. I just don't see them not because their hardware sells so freaking good. It makes too much sense to bring out a PS6, but we'll see. Drawn TJ. James Gibson drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the problem with Sony gamers is this is what happens when you care about first party only and nothing else. Gamers need to grow and get out of that mindset. I mean, Sony right now, I would say that they are probably neck and neck with Nintendo when you talk about first party and their releases, because Nintendo's first parties, they sell so well. It's almost their ratio of system sale to console sold to game is the highest in the industry. Sony is not even close to them, not by a long shot or a country mile if you want to be facetious. But they do sell well. Like Spider-Man, 20 million plus, 25 million plus. God of War, again, another big seller. Horizon, a double-digit millions for them with the first one. I don't know so much for the second one. And I think those numbers that are for part 2 are inflated because they forced people who bought a PlayStation 5 to get a copy of this. So it was inflated numbers artificially. I think Sapo in the chat, she said that Spider-Man 2 is potentially going to have that happen. But I think Spider-Man 2 is going to sell very well. Like I said, I think that end of 2023, you'll see the number of 10 million pieces sold. It's going to be a great game. There's no doubt about it. But we'll see. We will see. Now we have a new super chat from Kings, who drops now. It says here an A. I believe it's a $20 super chat, but it says $31 super chat. So thank you, Kings, for the absolute generosity. Welcome to the show. Hopefully you are enjoying it enough to hit the like button and potentially, obviously subscribe to the channel. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, PlayStation has the Don Matrick 2.0, and that's Jim Ryan. Xbox has Phil, and that's like Sean Layton. I mean, we are seeing the companies do a roles reversal in the way that they do things. So there is some truth to that. Abacab72 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, you're forgetting about PlayStation 5's biggest banger, baby steps. Yeah, that was not a good way to open up. John, let's get to your theory. because I think I know exactly what you're trying to put down, and it would be pretty crazy if it played out this way. Talk about it.
Yeah, it's just very strange in the way when you start adding stuff up. And remember, Boom, me and you for a living, we used to investigate, and you used to. I'm still doing it. I'm still active for work and stuff. But what happens is that when you start putting the picture together, right? Like there's no one that can tell me that all of this isn't Square. But Square basically announced Phil Spencer coming out in that show, and they were like, "Everybody clap for Phil Spencer! Everybody clap! Get on your feet right now!" Like the new CEO and the other dude couldn't stop hugging him. It was hilarious to see that. And the thing is that I do think that PlayStation and Jim, I think that they left Square Enix at the altar. I really do. I think that they were prepared to be bought out. And what happened is actually, right? I think that the ABK acquisition kind of put everything at like in a frenzy over in the PlayStation camp, because to this day, and there's no one that's gonna tell me different, I think that they completely overpaid for Bungie. They way overpaid for Bungie, and that's fine. That was their need. They're looking for the gas. They're looking for the dollar. Um, Understood. But I still think that because of that purchase that they made, I think that that set back certain things like the acquisition eventually of Square Enix, because Square was prepared. They sold off all their Western stuff. They were cutting the fat. They were trimming it so that they can present themselves, as the beautiful bride for Jim and PlayStation, and they got left at the altar. So I think that it slowly became after that. Let's Jim and the PlayStation camps, like, let them sink to get to rock bottom price, and then we'll swoop in for the purchase. That's what it seems like. And with the way that Square is reacting now, it's like, to me, it's pretty telling, to be honest with you. Now, that's just a theory. We'll never be able to prove this stuff, but that's the way that I see that happened there. Now, with your comment of 7 million uh um sold for Final Fantasy 7 remake, that's I'm sorry guys, that's, if you grew up during the PlayStation 1 generation and you know how big of a game Final Fantasy 7 was for the PlayStation brand, not only for the PlayStation brand but for gaming in general, that's a staple. That's like a staple in video game history. That to me was a no-brainer, that PlayStation probably believed and Square believed that they were going to sell so many copies, and it fell flat on its face. And the reason that it fell flat on its face, it's because they signed that exclusive deal. Now we have to go back in history a little bit, and we have to remember that by all accounts, Sony are the ones in working together with Square that greenlit the project. So it does seem like if that original contractual agreement came back and it bit them, because that's a game that should be celebrated across multiple platforms on day one. Square really sold themselves short on their own IP, and really sold the gamers short by not having that game day one on PC and Xbox and Switch. Wherever you can get the game, you got to get it in front of as many people as possible. That should be the goal for a company like Square, because they are a third party publisher. So they need, it's a balance, right? Sometimes you need money from these secure deals to actually work on the development of a game, but still you need to be strategic in what it is that you're willing to give up. If you're willing to give up an Octopath Traveler, by all means, but a megaton like Final Fantasy, with the weight that IP has had historically, sorry, if you want that IP to be exclusive to you, you need to outright buy us. Like, there's no other way that we can afford to make this game exclusive for you. It's like right now, Resident Evil, the next Resident Evil being exclusive for any platform. It just doesn't make sense for Capcom to do that. They did that back in the GameCube days, and yeah, it was successful for them, but that was a different time, guys. These games are costing a lot of money. If as going forward, I think that these exclusivity deals, we're gonna see Final Fantasy as a true test to show the industry that, hey, you better make sure that this game is going to sell. I worry for Stellar Buns. I really worry for that game. We saw what happened to Returnal. Returnals, I till this day, I don't even think Returnal has made it to the million sell mark. They haven't announced.
You know what? I'll look it
anything
up right now. Hold on.
on PlayStation. I don't think that they've made it to a million in sales, and if they have, that's news to me. Maybe across the board when you mix PC, but these types of games here, not that they're expected.
560,000 copies on PlayStation 5 is what it sold.
Yeah, and again, not like we shouldn't expect a game like that either to sell as much as Spider-Man or God of War. Understood. I understand that, but at the same time, it really does hurt these games to be exclusive to one platform, unless it's unless it's something like like a Returnal that's being built on that platform, et cetera, et cetera. But for like a mega franchise like Final Fantasy, I think that Square completely shot themselves in the foot. And to be honest with you, PlayStation's plan was to let them sink. Hey, let them hit rock bottom and we'll come in and we'll swoop them for pennies on the dollar. And it looks like they were heading down that route. And the new CEO said, it ain't gonna happen on my watch. I need to bring this company back up and get Phil Spencer wants the game on Xbox. Let's get him on Xbox. Look what they did now. Look, Final Fantasy the new one, 3 months exclusive is all they're getting, and that's probably because they had to really renegotiate that contract with PlayStation and say, look, we can leave it exclusive, but 3 months is the only thing we can give you. I mean, we're not going to be able to bring the third game out if we continue down this road. So, and we want to finish that game, and obviously we want to keep on, we want to keep on running as a business. So at the end of the day, Boom, I just think that this just goes to show everyone that just because your game is on PlayStation only, that doesn't always equate to a win. And that's very important. And I think that this is a good lesson for the industry to learn.
No, it's fantastic points. I got some Returnal Steam stats in front of me, folks. 38 minutes ago, there were 110 people playing it. It was they sold 159,000 units on Steam. You combine that with the 550,000 units sold on PlayStation 5, it's not even a million. So they didn't, that game did not break. Again, game was fantastic. Not my cup of tea, but it took someone like Mr. Badbit, who represents PlayStation very well. He absolutely adored it. So many people that I know played it. Just not my bag. But yeah, that's the numbers on Steam. 159,000 copies sold. That is as of today. I'm literally reading the Steam stats right now. The average play time is 15.3 hours. The median play time is a little less at 12.5. So there you go. Dave, let's bring you into the conversation, brother. You are a money guy. You obviously do this for a living. The numbers just don't add up for Square Enix. And like I said, I could be completely 1,000% wrong, but you and I were talking in the green room prior to going live, and we both come to the realization that Tokyo Game Show is going to be big for Xbox. Yes. Sony's going to have a very small presence there. They're probably going to do some, again, very updates with some of their games. Maybe we'll get a surprise or 3. That would be wonderful. But Microsoft is going to be there in a big way. And we know that because Phil Spencer is going to be there, and potentially Sarah Bond, and we know Aaron Greenberg is going to be there. Mm-hmm. When you have these C-level executives showing up to an event this big, you would imagine you're going to have some sort of a big announcement. The big announcement could very well come as Final Fantasy VII Remake dropping into Game Pass. Makes sense. And then, of course, just follow the evidence. There's only a 3-month exclusivity deal with Final Fantasy VII Part 2 for PlayStation 5. So right. It does seem right. It does seem about right. Let's get your take on these ridiculous numbers and why Square Enix is probably no longer going to make these kind of deals with Sony, unless, of course, Sony does purchase them.
Yeah, it was almost a month to the day when they got the new leadership in place, that they had Phil Spencer out on their stage, at the Final Fantasy 14 event. And it's a big event. That's a big, huge game. It's probably one of the biggest monthly purchases people do as far as a subscription game of that type. Right now, it's bigger than WoW. So it's big, and it didn't used to be that way. They had to make some changes, to make some adjustments. Both my son and my daughter both play. They love it. They try to get me to play all the time. I've played a few times, but the point is that's their big moneymaker right now, and they did make some deals with the devil to what they thought at the time, were good deals for their company. I believe that the old leadership, he was kind of stuck in his ways and was was not willing to branch out as much. Felt a lot of loyalty to Sony, which I guess I get, but in the end, it's a business. That's why he was removed as a CEO, and they put a new person in place. And the new CEO is very receptive to them getting back to their former glory. And with that said, I think that that the best way for them to move forward is to actually make deals with Microsoft. If not, they've at one point, we know from the trial that they were in consideration for a purchase from Microsoft. So, which surprised a lot of people. But Microsoft, as we know now, Phil's not playing any games. Or the only game he is playing is the game to win. He's ready for it, and they're making the deals. They've spent a lot of time in Japan. They spent a lot of time curating the trust of the Japanese market, and they still got a long way to go for sure. We know that, but they're doing all the right things. And even though it seems to us like it's been forever since, but that was a lot of the stuff that in the past was under old regimes and old leadership at Microsoft, and Phil from the get-go, from day one, has said that this is an important market and we need to, and he now has the power and the support of their CEO, Satya Nadella, that they are going to make the right decisions to get where they need to be. And it just has that feeling that they're going to make some kind of good announcements. Now, whether it's with Square, which hopefully it will be, because he said there's some other things in the works depending on what they can do. 7, I don't know how long that agreement is in play for, but because we know Sony extended it to a degree, but I have a feeling that Microsoft is really they want it for the fans. Phil wants it because the people that play on his platform want it, and there's a lot of people. Boom, you may or may not enjoy Final Fantasy. It may not be your bag, but that's okay.
Oh no, Final Fantasy 7 is my bag for sure.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But the point is that they need Microsoft, that is, needs games for everybody.
Yes.
For every little niche, every little market, every little bits and pieces that they can pull together, they need that. And I commend them for working toward that. But I think Tokyo Game Show is really going to be an awakening. And this ABK deal is getting done. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just a matter of time for it close." It is closing.
Yeah,
and it's going to be closing the right way.
I'm hoping by next Friday we'll have some big information.
Yeah, so let's hold on to our hats on that. But it's coming, and it is going to get finished one way or the other. Worst case scenario, and Microsoft still has the nuclear option to close over before their deadline. And if it comes down to it, don't you think that they won't? Because they will.
We're getting close to that $3.5 billion to $4.5 billion increase in a walk away fee. Microsoft does not want to pay that, obviously, so they want to get this deal done. There's no one stopping them. The deal's it's going to get done, and if that's how they close out the year, or they close out the month of September or October, that's going to be a big way to close out the year. Because you got to remember, Tokyo Game Show, we are expecting some things. And there is the big one, the crown jewel of the industry for a lot of people. That's the Game Awards. Now, maybe people don't, rate it as high as I do. I really do look forward to it. I don't always agree with some of the shenanigans that come out of Keighley, but doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the program, because I truly do look forward to it. I mean, who's to say that on top of, and again, I'm just painting a picture here. It's a broad stroke, so I could be 1,000% wrong, and more than likely I am. But just imagine this scenario, folks, just for shits and giggles, for Xbox, not PlayStation. Xbox at the Tokyo Game Show announce that Final Fantasy VII is coming to the platform, and it's in Game Pass. Microsoft gave them a huge bag, right? Because Phil, like Dave just said, wants their players to enjoy this game, and why not have it in the service, right? So that's wonderful. ABK closes. Call of Duty is now Xbox first party. Now, a running theory is that if this thing somehow closes and the deal was reworked, who's to say that Call of Duty doesn't find its way to Game Pass? Again, it's a complete shot in the dark theory, but why not, right? So you have Final Fantasy VII finally on Xbox in Game Pass. You close ABK. Call of Duty is first party along with Blizzard and all of King. And of course, you close out the year at the Game Awards with something first party for Xbox being shown. Maybe they show Senua's fighting mechanics. Maybe we get a chance to see a God of War-esque level where she's running around and she's fighting these huge monsters. And what a year that would be for Xbox. And if you weren't a fan, I'm sorry to say, you're probably going to be one. You're probably running out or asking mom and pop to get you an Xbox for Christmas.
Well, guess what, Boom? I'm thinking about this logically. Okay, here we go. So check this out.
Yeah,
for them to come out on Tokyo Game Show and shadow drop Final Fantasy VII on Xbox, I think that is a little bit of a in that pipe dream area.
Yeah,
but
sure.
you know what's not? You know what is 100% possible? That they do the same thing like they did with Death Stranding, where they release it on PC Game Pass, because there's already a PC version of Final Fantasy VII. That exists out there. The only thing that they need to do is do the same thing that they did for Death Stranding, and that's encode the Xbox Live Awareness stuff, and that's it. They can literally shadow drop that game, and to me, I would think that doesn't take a lot of work on the back end. Now, I don't know that, but I would think that that's a lot easier than developing a whole game for Xbox, because what I think that PlayStation did here is that they locked up the Final Fantasy VII that like the 3 games that are going to expand, because I think there's going to be one more after this, right? Because they're trying to do that whole 3 disc thing like was on PlayStation 1. I think that PlayStation locked it down until all 3 games are released. Like, they can't release anywhere else. Is probably what they did on any other console. I'm thinking that, right? But the PC stuff, 100% possible, especially when we see it with Death Stranding, which, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, maybe I'm wrong here. Is that not a Sony-owned IP? Is Death Stranding not owned by Sony?
The only difference is, the only flaw in your logic is that when Death Stranding was made, at that time, Sony didn't have a company to make their games on PC to transfer them over. In other words, to code them.
That's where they bought Nixxes.
Right.
Yes.
That's why they bought Nixxes. So Nixxes is now in play on a lot of things. And so when that was made, Death Stranding was made, it was a third-party company, and they didn't, for whatever reason, lock down the rights to the PC version because they just, they weren't thinking PC. They're only thinking console wars. So that's why that happened. And with that, since it did happen, Sony has gone back in on their deals with the exclusive, and I believe with Square, so that it actually ties into exclusivity on PC and that. But there is, there is a chance that the deal is a yearly and has to be re-upped, and then coming up, with Microsoft being very generous with their payouts, that they could possibly all those rights could even though we think it's inevitable or I guess ongoing, it may be, Square still has okay, cool. Well, we're not going to renew that deal with Sony this year. Now we're going to go everywhere, and they have that option, especially if Microsoft is throwing a bunch of money at them, which we know Phil can do.
I hope they do, and I hope that, and it's not even an Xbox thing, right? I just hope that Square does what's best for them, and that's if they release on PC, on on Xbox, on Switch, through streaming, whatever you need to do to get back on your feet and be, like Square Enix. It would be such a shame because a CEO made such bad deals for a company like that just to go under. I as a gamer, I don't want to see that. I don't think anybody else wants to see that, right? So just do what you guys need to do to raise up, and just stop making these bad deals that don't make any sense with your
Right.
your megaton IPs. It's just bad business, and it
Well,
makes
that's
you
why they
scratch
got
your
rid of
head.
that CEO, because he was doing more harm
Bonehead
to the company.
decisions.
Because he wasn't like he retired. They forced him out.
They did force him out. That's a
So,
fact. Firm
so
fact.
that's one of the reasons why. So right now is the best chance going forward for Square. Now, granted, like Microsoft, if they have some contracts in place, they have to honor those. But that's why Phil was kind of vague in saying as things become available,
Yep.
they're ready to work with Square on whatever they're available to do.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm really hopeful that that we're going to hear some good things. And may not hear everything, but at least a little trickle, some starts, the ball rolling on certain things. I think it should be a good Tokyo Game Show, and
Final
probably
Fantasy,
a lot better.
I think that Final Fantasy 14 is just a starting point for
yes.
It's
that
definitely the tip of the
relationship.
spear. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I would agree.
And look, I'm gonna be slanderous here. Look, my heart says Sega, but honestly, I just want Xbox to purchase Square just to see the fanboys cry.
I mean, there's something
to be honest with you.
No, you're laughing, and of course you are coming at it from a slanderous point of view, but that would be the dagger, right? Like that would be the holy shit moment that Microsoft is serious. Like if they went out and they are, first of all, let's call a spade a spade. They are the kings of Western RPGs. Now you take nothing away from CD Projekt Red. They're amazing. They're going to continue to release Witcher games. Obviously, the Cyberpunk DLC is coming out. That trailer was ridiculous. Idris Elba looks amazing in that game. So take nothing away from what they're going to deliver. And plus, Cyberpunk is getting basically rebooted. And I only played like maybe the first maybe 6 hours, and I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna get serious. Into it.
Me too. I'm
gonna restart the game over with all the new additions to make it a new game. Right, that's what I'm gonna get into. But Microsoft owns Obsidian. They own Bethesda. They own inXile. Those are the three big banger RPG makers. They're all under the umbrella of Xbox Game Studios. Could you imagine for a freaking second if Square Enix, and I don't really want Square Enix because you know what? I love Final Fantasy VII, but that's about it because of my connection to the actual brand. Like I had Final Fantasy VII in Japanese and I beat it using FAQs that I downloaded.
That's a business move, and that's a shots fired moment, right?
It is a shots fired move, 1,000% shots fired move, and it would really it would move the needle for Xbox in Japan where they have very little presence. Now, I'm a Sega kid, so I'm more like, you know what? I'd rather for nostalgia go for Sega. But if you want to be a slanderous one, you want to be a console warrior, talk about a kick in your balls, right?
No.
My goodness, you wake up one morning and it says Microsoft has now acquired Square Enix, or they're attempting to acquire Square Enix. It's going to be a drop the jaw moment.
And what it does is, if you take a look at historically what Phil has done, every single company that Jim has tried to secure, Phil has gone back and has purchased the company outright. So it's kind of showing, like, if you guys start playing dirty, and it's not dirty, it's business, guys. Like what I mean by what I mean by dirty is that if you try to lock us out completely, okay, and your goal is to take us out of business, right? Well, we're gonna have to swing back, and we can swing. We have haymakers.
Yeah, they
Okay,
do.
we can
Yeah.
buy the building. So don't
Hey,
be
Boom.
very careful with how long you guys are making these exclusive deals and trying to lock us out. Is basically what Phil would be saying.
Boom. I do like Drawn TJ's attitude in this, whether it's practical or not. But basically, it's buy them all.
Yeah, no,
Get
I'm
every-
gonna read the
get
super chats
everything
now.
you-
It is
everything you
rather,
can.
rather interesting. Listen, I'm gonna read the super chats out of here. We got 3 new ones, so of course I want to give them praise for the generosity. And I'm gonna go right back to Fuzzy because we're gonna talk Nintendo. I think that direct was phenomenal. There wasn't anything I didn't like. Honestly, I think it was. I know a lot of people were down on it, but from a nostalgic point of view, I loved every minute of it. Chaos Mike drops a very generous $2 super chat and says a 3-month exclusive might be due to a Switch 2 release. I mean, it's certainly possible. The new Switch can run the Unreal Engine 5 demo of Matrix. So I'm assuming that it's going to have some power behind it. So I would also, again, I'm taking a stab. I don't know the specs, but I would imagine that it is possible that Final Fantasy VII Remake can potentially launch on the Switch. Maybe they do a dual release. Maybe Intergrade and Final Fantasy VII Part 2 are a part of a Switch release, a Switch 2 release. I'm not sure. Andy Hart drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, looking forward to the Lies of P panel thoughts. I'm looking forward to Lies of P. I played the demo. I didn't really care so much for the demo. I don't know why. It just didn't resonate with me. I just kept getting killed, and I'm not a Soulsborne dude, but I'm an Elden Ring guy. Like that's my favorite of all time. I did really well in that game, except for the last boss, which he's a real pos. So, but yeah, I'll give it a shot. It's in Game Pass, so of course I'm going to give it the old college effort. Drawn TJ drops a very generous additional $10 super chat and says, "Go buy Gearbox," and I say no. I don't want no part of the Randy Pitchford. If he's not a part of the conversation, fine. I don't want him anywhere near Xbox. That guy is a troll master times 1,000, among other things.
I haven't
like the way he
forgiven
does
them
his
for the
business.
Aliens game, man. That Aliens game let
You know
me
what's
down so bad.
You know, it's funny you should say that because I actually met Randy Pitchford in person during a PAX East. We all watched. We got into the troop transport from Aliens, so it was pretty dope. It was a very awesome scene, and he got out there on, and he's like, "This is Aliens versus Predator," and we were like, "Oh my god, this is great!" And he was very personable. This is before he took crazy pills. He was a normal developer then. Now he's taking crazy pills. I don't know. So I don't want him anyway a part of it. He also says, if you go get the creators of Saints Row, then you can get IO Interactive, Asobo, and Certain Affinity, Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Crytek, and then Square and then Sega and Square Enix. Yeah, I love the craziness. I think that there are some on there that they have to get. Crystal Dynamics is definitely tip of the spear. Eidos Montreal is a must. These two studios not only are talented and could give you a real edge in a Marvel exclusive, but they're also working on two of your most important first-party franchises that are looking to come back and have a rebirth: Fable and Perfect Dark. You got to sew up these studios, because if once these games are done, you're going to want these studios to return to continue the stories of both Fable and Perfect Dark. So I think that there might be something in the works there. We'll see.
Deep Silver, right, is the name of that.
Yeah. Well, they're no longer, they're closed.
Well,
Studios closed.
Well, what they can do is they can pick up that talent, and that's your Crackdown team right there.
I actually, it's funny you say that. We had a conversation with Kay Asante and Everborn about that. I said, if you want to do a Crackdown 4 or a reboot of Crackdown, you go and you get the Saints Row team, and you ask them to do it. You start a new studio that's whatever you're going to call it, and it's going to work on Crackdown exclusively. That would be pretty dope, because I think they would be able to deliver. The new Saints Row was terrible. Let's call a spade a spade. I bought it and it was awful. The other Saints Rows were great. Saints Row 3 is probably my favorite in the whole series. It was wacky.
I like the one that's in Hell. The one that's in Hell is my
that one was
favorite
good as well. The one in Hell is also, again, it's just ridiculousness, but it was fun. It was fun. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's for the last 35 minutes of the show, let's talk Nintendo. This was a great show. They really, really did what Nintendo was known for, and that is strike the chord of nostalgia for anyone who is a fan. Obviously, this is what's coming out for the remainder of the 2023 campaign. I'm very excited for it. Let's talk about it, man. What were your takeaways?
Well, they had the Prince of Persia game, which has gone silent for a bit, so that's coming there for those that are looking for something outside of like a normal Nintendo IP. And they also had like a remastered of the original Tomb Raider, which, I know a lot of people probably prefer the more recent reboots, but the new or the remaster of like the original, if you were looking for that like classic fix on the go kind of thing, that was another standout as well. But I think the big thing, like we had talked about this earlier in the show, as far as when Nintendo and their IPs, they have like the best attachment rate in the business, and delivering that fan service by bringing back something like F-Zero and turning it into kind of like a battle royale was pretty cool. Um, Having Horizon Chase 2, which it's almost like their version of Outrun. Like if you remember back in the day with Nintendo versus Sega, and Sega was always like the arcade kings as far as things like Afterburner and Outrun and stuff like that. Having something similar for on the go is pretty cool as well. The Super Mario RPG was another standout. I mean, they had a ton of things that you know weren't necessarily on the radar as far as for being remade. Like I think there were some hints or clues that they were going to do some updated Mario games, but like the sheer amount of games that they had like what 30 games at this showcase in comparison to like the PlayStation one. It definitely delivered at least something for everyone that either has a Switch or is on the fence on getting a Switch, if that's still the case. I guess the only question I have is, are a lot of these games going to be back compat to the Switch 2 when it comes out? But
That's my
alert.
biggest fear with them.
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert. No.
I hope. I mean, obviously, if you remember from the Wii to the Wii U, they were backwards compatible. I'm
Mhm.
hoping that they take the same approach. It would be a real ugly situation. I mean, everyone's going to buy a Switch 2. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And of course, they're going to put an Animal Crossing on there, which me and Mrs. Boom can't wait to play. But I would hope that they don't do that.
Fuzzy's
Please
laughing.
make games. Please make the games backwards compatible.
Fuzzy's laughing because he remembers that Nintendo charged him for cardboard.
Yeah.
So he's laughing
Yeah.
Oh my
just
God.
remembering that.
No, but overall, it was like a 8 out of 10, at least an 8 out of 10. And I'm not even somebody that owns a Switch. I've always been kind of on that fence where it's like, I'm not going to buy a Switch for Animal Crossing. I'm not going to buy a Switch for Zelda, because those weren't necessarily the games that I enjoyed growing up as far as from Nintendo. But as far as a lot of the Mario games and F-Zero, and then even looking at something new like Horizon, um, those are all games that make me at least consider, putting the Steam back away for a bit to get the Switch, or at least kind of hold out to see how they handle this Switch 2 thing. But overall, great showcase, plenty of games, a wide variety of games, some nostalgia thrown in with some new ones mixed in as well. You can't ask for anything more with Nintendo. It's like I wasn't expecting much from them, but they delivered as far as a showcase that someone that doesn't have a Switch would be interested in. And that was my takeaway from it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's good takeaway. I have the list in front of me, and there was some. I mean, again, there was a lot of stuff there that if you are
Contra.
a fan, Contra
wow.
looks freaking so
Operation Beluga or something like that, right?
Yeah,
What's the
yes,
Yeah.
it looks freaking phenomenal, and
We
it
gotta
looks like
play that.
old school. And I think it's is it 2 or 4 players?
4-player co-op.
4-player. Wow, dude, that's bonkers. Let's see. I'm looking at the list. You have the let's see, Paper Mario: A Thousand Year Door is finally getting a remake. That was on the GameCube.
That's a really good game, guys. That was
That's
on GameCube.
really good.
That's a really, really good Mario game.
Super Mario RPG remake. Obviously, that's the old school Square one that looks just phenomenal. Mario versus Donkey Kong. It was a huge successful Game Boy Advance game. and that's coming back. Prince of Persia showed off really well. Fuzzy already talked about Horizon Chase 2, and that's out now. So if you watched it and you like Outrun and you're an old school cat like me, you go and you buy it. They
Princess
have
Peach.
Princess Peach, yes. Showtime turns you into a swordsman and a kung fu master, according to the definition of Princess Peach. People are going to dig that, especially the female demographic is going to really enjoy that. I was very surprised by the Tomb Raider trilogy. It's available everywhere. You can get it on PlayStation, you can get it on Xbox. I'm going to buy it on Xbox, but I remember playing that on a PlayStation for the first time. I mean, the first time you came across the T-Rex, you were like, "What the F?"
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just
Yeah, the
so
only
good.
thing I
So
ask is that
yeah.
they give you the ability to give her back the triangle boobs. All right, even with the new. All right, I need my
Oh
triangle
my
boob.
God! You need
Laura Croft,
the
right?
pointy one. So when she hits you in the face, you lose an eye. That's what you're
Exactly.
saying.
So that when you
Jesus
run out of
Christmas.
bullets, you use the last resort, which is the chest bump. Okay. So
Oh man, there you go. There you go.
Boom! I really think we're
The
going to start needing to drug test your
yeah.
channel, man. Just
Oh
kidding.
my goodness. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, you got the final Mario Kart 8 booster pack. And if anyone is a Mario Kart fan, and me and Tyler are huge fans of that. We played every time he stays over. It's just a gift that keeps giving. Now, when are we going to get a Mario Kart 9? I don't know. I mean, but they have to eventually do that and a new Smash. But
Switch 2. That's when they'll do it.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a lot of the stuff is going to be Switch 2 related and potentially exclusive, making people go out and buy a Switch 2, which makes perfect sense. When you talk about the business aspect of it. John, let's get your take on this, man. This was pretty big for Nintendo. It's of course it's on the heels of a Sony show. They obviously the Nintendo show was first, and and of course Sony had to follow this, and there were two different shows.
Yeah.
One's like an 8.5 out of 10. For me, it's a 9 out of 10 because of so much of the nostalgia that was there versus Sony's 5 out of 10. And it really does highlight how, I mean, the list for here is staggering. Let's get your hot take on the Nintendo Direct.
it shows this show right here proved without a shadow of a doubt how well Nintendo has really operated this generation with the Switch. They've been kicking on all cylinders, have not missed a beat. That you would think that now that this is supposed to be their wind down show, it would be kind of like, all right, we're gonna show off Mario Wonder and a couple of third party games, and that's it, because we're sunsetting the Switch and we're getting ready for the Switch 2, guys. So lower your expectations. And then you would think that they would want to get you excited for the Switch 2 and kind of starve you a little bit there. But no, Nintendo's like, we have no intention on doing that. The Switch is selling like hotcakes, and this proves to me that I believe that for a little while the Switch is going to coexist with the Switch 2. They're not gonna just back away from the Switch. I think that it is a system that they're going to keep on selling, even when the next one comes out, because again, it's like it just sells itself. People are really drawn to the handheld form factor of the hybrid system. It's something that I guess Nintendo really tapped into when they converged both of their strengths, which was the hardware and the on the go device. And it's the perfect formula for them. It really fits them and their DNA so well that I'm really, really happy, just as a gamer in general, for the success that Nintendo has had. And when you see the show yesterday, that they're not resting on their laurels, like we opened up the show criticizing Sony for. Sony needed a show like Nintendo showed yesterday that showed a lot of confidence. And it showed, hey, you know what, guys? We got a lot of good stuff coming. You thought that we were done? No way. Look, here's a brand new Peach game out of nowhere. All right. My daughter was ecstatic for that game. She was just over the moon for it. So that's a day one. They got me. They're going to get my money for sure. Then you would think that with them saying, hey, we're going to bring out Mario RPG, you would think that they're like, hey, we got our RPG little game there. We're not going to do anything else. No. Hey, here's another small W that for you guys, and that's a Paper Mario, and that's how they close out the show. And again, it's not like a huge major announcement that's earth shattering or anything like that, but it what they're doing is that they're winning over their hardcore with something like that. That's an easy win, and that's something that I think that PlayStation and Xbox can learn from Nintendo. Fans, for as much as we're look, I'm the first one. I'm a fickle gamer, 100%. Boom. I've been saying, look, I haven't really seen anything for the PSVR 2 that has got me to bite. Yesterday, our the Resident Evil stuff, it kind of got me thinking, man, maybe it's gonna be time for that PSVR 2. It just takes one or two big games to get us, guys. We're all gamers here. So Nintendo, that's something that they have continuously done throughout the lifespan of the Switch, is just continue to deliver good quality first party content and really leverage what their strength is, which is that first party IP. Look, if they've reached Disney levels already, boom. Their Mario, Yoshi, those characters are iconic, as big as Mickey Mouse, and there's no going back now for Nintendo. Now, one thing that I would like to see them do is they are eventually going to have to come out and announce the Switch 2, right? I mean, before it gets leaked, I think that they would want to have their own proper show and
Yep.
kind of have it controlled, because this thing is just a matter of time. There's just too much news floating around. So I think that it's very important for them and to have a plan in motion where they say, hey, all right, so next E3 or whatever it's going to be called, summer show, it'll always be E3 to me, guys. Sorry. So next E3 time, we're going to announce properly the Switch 2, which will then
Yep.
release in the fall. And
Yes.
I think that the stars are aligning when you really look at that, because they've given their consumers enough content to hold them over for that first half of 2024, and then still have enough to say, hey, you know what, the Switch is going to keep on selling because we got good stuff coming. So props to Nintendo, man. This whole generation is just a blueprint on how to do things right. They're the goats for sure.
100%. I mean, obviously there was some amiibo stuff in there. Sora's getting his own amiibo. Obviously, that's the last of the Smash characters. That's a really big deal. Like they really did hit on, and this came out of nowhere. Like we had no idea they were going to do a show. They announced it. It came out. It was spectacular from start to finish. Lots of games, lots of information. I know someone in the chat earlier said that the Sony show felt kind of rushed. And kind of just to get a show out there, and that's what it felt like. Felt like a show, like, hey, listen, let's go and just throw a couple of trailers together, and oh yeah, we'll show Spider-Man, which again looked fantastic, but we've seen it so many times. Same thing with Final Fantasy. It is what it is. Nintendo ruled the day for sure. Dave, let's get your hot take on this, brother. What were your takeaways from the Nintendo Direct?
I thought it was good. If I had to give it a score, I'd say it was probably at 8 out of 10. There was some things to be expected. That we'd heard that was in the works, and like I said, a lot of people are fans of the RPG and of the Paper Mario part. I like the Mario Donkey Kong. I thought that was cool. A lot of empowerment seems to be going on with the Princess Peach game, and it's I like how it's based on her abilities and not her emotions, which kind of the last earlier game that they did with her was. So that's cool. I mean, very promising, good going forward. A lot of people were surprised that they didn't make an announcement about the Switch 2 or whatever. I just don't think it's there's going to be a time when they do that, and it's probably going to be after this holiday season. I think they're going to get through this final holiday season and then come out like the original Switch did.
It would be a bad business decision to announce a Switch 2 when the holidays are 3 months away, right? Like the Switch,
March or April would be perfect.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, because obviously March will mark I think would be the 7th year anniversary of the Switch, because it came out in 2017. and we'd
Yep.
be in 2024. So if they, I mean, me thinking outside the box here,
Yeah.
folks, I wonder if the Switch 2 releases in March, or like Dave was saying, maybe they make a big presentation in March and they say it's coming out in the summer, which would be a big deal because there's not a lot coming out in the summer.
Come
Or
out May or
they
June.
possibly right around that E3 time.
Build that frenzy.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of what they did with the original Switch. It came out at a non what they call pattern time release. Usually games consoles usually come out in November, typically, but that the original Switch did not. It came out in the middle of the year, and I still remember that first Imagine's Dragon commercial they had with the music with Imagine Dragons and stuff when they first were showing what it did, and everybody's like, wait a minute, he's setting it down, the controllers are coming off.
Yeah.
He put the controllers on, he picked it up, he's on the bus. What's going on? So it was all new back then, but now it's like it's the standard, man. It's really and I believe that the new Switch, hopefully more powerful, but hopefully will still keep that core on the go at home unit, because there's some people that like never take the Switch out of the dock. But my daughter, she's on the couch with her system all the time. Me, it's very rarely off the dock for me. But that's the nice thing
mine
about
is
it.
always docked, but it's a portable dock.
Yeah.
So like when I'm playing with a controller and it's
Mhm.
set in front of me, and I'm
Yep.
playing off the small screen while Mrs. Boom is playing on the big screen.
Yeah. But the actual their state of play or whatever it was called, their showcase, it was good. I think it was right where it needed to be. So yeah, it'll get them through. And again, as it gets closer to the holidays and to the Keeleys and things like that, they'll have a few little surprise things to throw into. They're not stupid. They'll throw their nuggets down then.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that it was 100 times better than what Sony's show was. And like people have said here, Sony's show seemed rushed. And it really did. It just seemed like let's get something out. But all those people, the I don't know the OnlyFans is what the PlayStation OnlyFans are like because which is silly, man. Games are games. You should play everywhere. But the ones that are so anti every other game system except for Sony, they're calling for this.
They live in a walled
showcase.
garden, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it really, unfortunately, it hurts their gaming, but they just don't see it. They games are for everybody and should be played everywhere, like Phil said. And the only reason that they're not is because of the practices of the past that are probably doomed to haunt us for a while. But we'll get through it.
Sony's they nearly bankrupt Square Enix because of it, and that's they're both parties are to blame. But listen, before we get out of here, folks, we still got about 15 minutes. I kind of want to get the pulse of the community and get you involved in the conversation. Find out where you are in Starfield. I just hit level 31. I landed on Earth for the first time. I went. I'm not even halfway through the game. Like I have a couple of faction missions that I'm doing that are just so big. They have taken hours upon hours. Some of the ones I've completed were like 3, 4, 6-hour quests that are not tied to the main story at all. They're literally side quests. This game is the gift that keeps giving. Chat, throw your current level, and you know what I'm interested. I've seen some people have run through the game 5 times on New Game Plus, which is crazy to me. Like I'm in no rush to finish the game. I'm really not. I mean, I'm really enjoying just the unknown. I'm doing a lot of side missions. There's some of the powers that are out there that you have to go and find these certain artifacts, which again, no spoilers here, folks. I only have 3 of them. I know Keasante, I think, has a dozen of them, or close to it.
How many powers do you have again, Boom? 3?
3.
You said?
I have 3. Yeah,
I have 2. Yeah, and I'm level 23, Jordan's number, and let me tell you that I put in 50 something hours already, and yeah, this game has so much content. I saw someone in the chat, Boom, 104. Is that right? Level 104. Geez,
Yeah,
congrats.
it's possible. I mean,
Shout out to you.
I just crossed 85 hours myself in the game. I have not stopped playing it. It's all I want to play. It's all, even when I'm podcasting, I want to play this game.
Yeah.
So I can't, but obviously I'm the host. But
The only thing
shout
that
out
took
to,
me I'm sorry, go ahead, Boom.
No, that's right. Shout out to DJ Birdo DOS. Drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, Breakfast with Boom, Web Day, Fuzz, Wolf. Slap the heck out of that like button, folks. Thank you so much for the generosity, DJ. And also thank you for the channel support. Yes, please hit the like button. But John, please continue.
Yeah, no, what I was gonna say is the only thing that took me away from Starfield this week, from gaming was Mortal Kombat, the premium access released yesterday, and I love Mortal Kombat. So
I bought the premium. I didn't even know it was out, dude. I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest with you.
well, but that's exactly the point that I was gonna make. I called Kay Asante yesterday, and I had to ask him, "Hey, Kay, is Mortal Kombat out today? Because I've been seeing some people posting some gameplay and stuff like that, and we looked it up, and yeah, for premium access, it was, and I had bought the premium access for PC on CD Keys, and yeah, I was like, oh, let me download this. If it wasn't for the fact that people were posting on social media, Starfield has taken me away from all responsibilities. This game is not good. It's not good at all. Okay? It's getting us in trouble, man. Okay. The wife asking for chores to be done. I'm like, honey, yeah, they'll get done.
Don't worry about it. They'll get done. And they're not getting done. Yeah.
This game has us in the doghouse. Okay.
Yeah.
But on a serious note though, Starfield is just, it's been said, repeated over and over again. This game is special, guys. That's really the only way that you can really say anything about it. It has this unique formula where even when you're not playing, you're thinking about it. And I can't wait to go back later today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping back into it. Like I said, I did one of the big UC missions. No spoilers, not gonna say anything. And I was very, very taken aback with what happened with it. It was bombastic. I did keep calling them the Lone Star, the Cowboys, the
Rangers.
Yeah, the Rangers. I just finished my quest with them. I became a full-on Ranger. I'm gonna tell you this, folks. When you do that faction, the ship that you get at the end of it is redonkulous. So you're gonna want to press forward on that. Each one of the factions that you do, you get a lot of rewards. Like I'm in the midst of doing a dual mission between the UC and the pirates, and I'm kind of playing a double agent. I might have messed up the quest because now that the pirates are attacking me, I think I did something I wasn't supposed to do. It might have been I shot one of them or something. I can't pay them now. They want me, but it's fine. I don't know. I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'm in my 5th playthrough. I will get there eventually. I'm just in no rush. This game is just so good. I don't want it to end, and I just keep finding things around each corner. Yes. I see. Let's see who I had over here.
Are you guys still on that honeymoon phase where when you walk into a room, you're still looking around, you're still kind of scanning everything because I hope you know that if you pick up books, they kind of unlock stuff. So that's just a little
dude. My brother literally told me that this morning. He says I pick up every book and I read every book because you're absolutely right. There are a lot of caveats to this game that unless you talk with other gamers, you may miss. Like books that may be uninteresting to you. Like, books. Who wants to read? Read the books. Pick up the magazines and get those extra points that go on to you that stick on you forever. Mm-hmm. They give you increases in your carry weight. It gives you increases on how you break down guns. I mean, just like in Fallout series, they had those magazines all over the place that would give you perks. Same thing is set here. But read all the books. Read them all because, yes, you'll see different missions and pick up and listen to the white tapes. Yeah. Because when you do that, you'll see something pop up on your missions as to, oh, I should listen to this and now I can go here. And this is how you find very exotic loot if you're into it. Maybe you're not. Maybe you just want to play the game single player and just do what you do. But if you care about the story you're being told and you just don't want to follow the paint by numbers, you definitely should be picking up books. Absolutely. Spider-Man 356 is level 33.
Wow.
Praise the Sun is 26. BZ McNasty, welcome to the show, brother. He has 9 powers now. That is dope. Let's see. Crispy Rambo is level 25. He has oh my god, 5 days and 8 hours.
Jeez.
What? That is bonkers.
Boom, but this
Sarcastic
game,
Course
this
has
game
one.
that you've been playing here on the
Like 5 games in one, John.
this game right here that you've been showing on this podcast, man.
Oh yeah, this is another killer.
This is amazing. I've been watching the gameplay this whole time. Like I have to get
Shadow
this a try.
Warrior 3 completely came out last year, and I paid it no attention. And I saw someone's video. I was like, wait a second, I gotta play this. And I was like, you know what? Now I gotta record footage. This game it's just bonkers. It's so good. It's so violent. It is Doom on crack cocaine, folks. And that's the best way to put it. The story is bombastic. It's funny, but the guns are just outrageous. And again, it's if you are a fan of these big first-person bombastic kind of shooters, you should definitely check this out. There's all kinds of supers, like you see the one I keep doing. That one gives you health when you rip off their heads and explode it. That's why I do it so much, because it gives you health, and it's phenomenal. The Black John is also level 29. And let's see, anybody else here? What do we got here?
Well, I'll go real quick. I got.
Yeah,
I'm a crazy person because I have 3 different playthroughs I'm doing simultaneously. I have my unmodded level 51.
Okay.
And I've made it to the end, but walked away, kind of thing. No spoilers, but you'll have options. My modded one is like 210, and then I have a separate one, and I'm starting in a completely different direction that is already a level 34.
Wow,
and that one is more of like the murderer, like anybody said, like almost like what So said, anybody looks at you funny, they're getting shot.
He's a walking Punisher.
But the other 2, I kind of played it more casual to some extent, but this game has like endless stuff. Like if you haven't even gotten into base building yet, at least
I have not.
Start at least one, so you could use that as like your closet or your storage facility or something. But don't put too much there, because it will get attacked and you'll have to go back and fight off pirates that are trying to steal your loot from there. But that's probably a good alternative to trying to build a bigger ship with more storage space. I've played around, like the modded account was mainly to see how far you could take it with base building and ship building. There's a lot to it, and man, it's this game. I'm hoping I get enough out of it between now and October 5th that I can actually put this down, or at least walk away from 2 of the playthroughs. Yeah, I'm having some fears that October 5th might come and go, and I might not be playing Forza that day. So we'll see how it goes.
Can you imagine, Fuzzy? Can you imagine when the Star Wars mods are coming out? Because I already saw a couple of Storm Trooper ones. Can you imagine when the Mandalorian mod comes out and you're just walking around with Grogu and he's force choking somebody? Like, it's gonna be sick when those mods start coming out, and it's gonna give people just reasons to never stop playing this game. This is crazy.
Oh yeah, like the mods that they have now before even the official support is phenomenal. So once there's the official support, when you can write like scripts on like story lines and like you said, having characters with different powers and things along those lines, this is truly a 10-year game. Like, people will be playing it for 10 years plus and having a grand old time. And I'm curious to see what Bethesda does next as far as with this IP. If we do get like kind of like a MMO kind of style version of this, where I don't know how the stealing of ships is going to work, but this in a multiplayer, oh my god, I productivity is already taking a hit. you would know that productivity for pretty much any line of work would pretty much take a hit after a MMO version of this. But as
I
it
agree.
stands, man,
And for
this
the
game is
the
awesome.
haters out there, and for that, common thing that I've been seeing from the haters saying that this is not a generational game, Fuzzy just highlighted why this is a generational game, because when the mod support starts, there's going to be people that are going to have channels dedicated to this game that
Yep.
are just going to be running this game 24/7 with different mods and stuff. And I really do think that this is going to be like a Skyrim, guys. This is another Skyrim, whether people want to admit it or not. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm a crazy person. 3 different playthroughs and over 6 days. Like, it's probably between the 3 playthroughs, because that's just showing the main account that's not modded is that 6 days. I've probably put in closer to 10 hours or 10 days worth of time just fidgeting with stuff. But like I said, base building, give it a try. At least start one outpost if you haven't already, and focus on cargo space, like and storing stuff at the base, and storing stuff in the ship, and storing stuff at the lodge, and going through it slowly but surely. Try to keep everything that lists like text. Like, if it just shows a value in a name, you don't have to bother picking it up unless you want to use it for decoration. But if it says like crafting material or something like that, find a place to store it. Just don't carry it on your person all the time, because then you won't be able to fast travel, and you'll definitely run out of oxygen. So
no, listen, that's bonkers. Let's Web Dave, where you at with Starfield before we get on out of here? How much? Where's your level cap at?
I'm about 2 days. I think I'm level 16, I guess. So, and I've actually been doing the main quest. I did the what is it, the Mantis mission, and then everything else is pretty much in straight line. But yeah, I'm I hadn't had as much time to play it as I wanted to. But I'm still in fact, when I get off here, I'm probably going to play for a couple hours before I got to do some more errand runs. But yeah, man, I'm loving the game. It's so much fun, and it's a game I'm going to continue to play for years to come. I can feel it. And the thing is, I got in it at the right time, right at the beginning, because a lot of the other games like Fallout 76 had some friends that were really into it. And they eventually talked me into, once they made some fixes, to playing with them. And I played some, and they still to this day will log in almost every day to do their resource stuff, and then they'll get off, and then on the weekends they'll spend more time in it. But this is just man, it is truly a generation game. And for people that are saying they don't see any next gen stuff, I won't say who I caught talking about it yesterday. But he made some comments that it was like, dude, what are you playing? Because you're not playing the game I am. And you could just tell his
well, people have narratives, dude. That's really what it comes down to. They're a subset of the PlayStation community, not everyone, let's make that clear, that are looking to downplay the fun that Xbox gamers are having, instead of actually playing the game themselves. Obviously you saw what happened with the guy that called into Jaffe. He was basically embarrassed the hell out of himself.
That was amazing. That was
where
great.
you talked about burning the bodies. Like, oh yeah, I didn't like that, and that's not even in the game, which is again stupidity. Listen,
and remember that it doesn't matter what Xbox releases. It could be the next best thing since sliced bread. They'll still figure out a way to bring it down. And the last thing I'll say, Web Dave, take some advice for your productivity today. Do your errands first and then play the game, because if you do it in the reverse order, those errands are not going to get done.
Yeah, that's my brother told me, he's like, "Listen, if I continue down the star path, I'm going to be fired."
Yeah, honey, I'm only going to play a couple hours. That's my plan, John. Shut up. I mean, what? Oh, honey, it's so late now. I'll get to those chores tomorrow.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have dinner and call it a night.
Hello. Are you kidding? I'm ordering out tonight. There we go.
I think so. Me and Miss Boom as well. Listen, folks, I want to say a big thank you to the near 600 people we had here today. If you're finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. I do this Monday through Friday, 5 different panels, 5 different shows, and all celebrating gaming. And there's something there for you. We do have several Xbox shows as well as a couple of multi-plats like Primetime Gaming on Wednesday evenings. And of course, Breakfast with Boom is a multi-plat show as well. And of course, before you get on out of here, folks, please consider hitting the like button. I want to say a big thank you to all of the super chats. They do help power the show to do the big giveaways. And we have a couple big ones. We have a $500 giveaway coming up on a Breakfast with Boom towards the end of the month. It's our annual Boom's birthday bash. My birthday, you guys and gals get the prizes. We have another one that is going to be Mrs. Boom's birthday bash in November, first week of November. And of course, the big one of the year is going to be the most expensive 2-hour show we've ever had on the channel. For the holiday season, it's going to be our 6th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, where we are going to donate and give away $1,500 worth of gift cards. And those prizes are open to everyone, not just the Americas. If you are someone outside of the country, let's say, for instance, you live on the other side of the pond in like England, most podcasts will not honor them because it's expensive to get prizes, and unfortunately some of the, with the way Microsoft does, some of the platforms do their codes, they're non-transferable. What we do is, because you're going to support, if you support the channel, we're going to support you. And if you do win a prize and you're outside of the Americas, Mrs. Boomstick and I will send you the value, the denomination value of your prize for your country. The only caveat, folks, is that we use PayPal only, no money apps. So if you're not a part of PayPal and you don't want to become a part of PayPal, then you don't win the prize, because we have to be safe. We have to make sure that we're not going to get scammed. So we will send you the prize via PayPal. We will pay the transfer fee, and we will pay the denomination value difference. So if your money is more
than fair.
Yeah. So again, you pay for nothing. If you win, you pay absolutely nothing, and we pay everything up front. And of course, let's get to the outros. Web Dave, will start with you, brother. Please by all means, sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can check out your YouTube channel, where you have some of the best one-on-one interviews in the business, as well as your Sunday show, the Gamers Council podcast with Retri, Mr. Game Pass himself. Talk about that, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Just dropping the link in the chat right there. If you get a chance, go over and subscribe to our channel. We greatly appreciate it. The Sunday show is going to be good. We have a lot to talk about. I won't give any surprises away. I'll just say that join us this Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be fun, and you'll definitely say you were there when. So enjoy. Come see us. A little mystery for everybody. Yeah. Come see us. And also, Boom, thank you so much for having me. And of course, this amazing panel, John Wolf. And yes, I got it right this time.
Nice.
On my show last time he was on, dude, 2 weeks ago, for some reason, in my head, I said Fox.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who keeps bringing it back up. I said John Fox, and he's like,
hilarious.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
But dude, it was just, the stress and all that kind of stuff I was going under. So it had to happen. And of course, the mega Fuzzy. Oh my gosh. Fuzzy, he's got to be just gearing up for all this content he's going to have coming our way. When Forza comes out, man, that is the place to be, is watching Fuzzy. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Real quick, let's see. We had somebody in the chat ask what this game was. Where was it? It was Young Indie 21. This is Shadow Warrior 3. This was recorded on Xbox Series X. It's available on almost all platforms. I don't think it's available on the Switch, because I'm not sure, but it's definitely on PS5 and Xbox as well. One of my favorite games of the year so far. And the game launched last year. It's a little old, but it's phenomenal. Shout out to King Webb in the chat, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell your brand. Obviously, you have your own YouTube channel dedicated not only to video games, but you are the expert, if you will, when it comes to everything and anything racing. And obviously, Microsoft has a huge racer coming out in the form of Forza Motorsport in October. People should tune in. Where can they do that? More importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Oh, just want to start off by thanking you for having me on. It's always awesome being on here with you guys. Great having John back, and also great having Dave back for today. Um, Man, awesome show, everybody. Awesome chat. Thank you guys for watching us and joining us and interacting with us. We greatly appreciate it. Definitely hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you aren't already. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, particularly racing or anything Forza, especially with it coming out here in less than 3 weeks, you can follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere, or you can just search on YouTube for Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word, or fuzzy_Belvedere, and you'll be able to find me. But less than 3 weeks, I got to get Starfield out of my system to make room for Forza. So we'll see how that goes. But always awesome being here with you guys. Thanks again for having me.
Great to have you a part of the show each and every Monday on the Xbox Lunch Break Special, as well as Breakfast with Boom. John Wolf making his return to the panel. John, great opinions as always, brother. Sell the brand. Tell people where they can check out your YouTube channel. Reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, find you Monday evenings with Kay Asante on that new PCMR podcast, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It was really a lot of fun, guys, to be back on Breakfast with Boom, home away from home. Web Dave, it's nice to see you in good spirits, sir, and talking it up with us about games and and all the goofy stuff like the triangle boobs and stuff like that. So it's always good to chop it up with you, and I do love. I do love Latino Heat, Dave. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I keep it around. I like it. So and Fuzzy as well. Man, you always bring just well thought of, just conversation pieces that you always have. And of course, Boom, you're one of the best in the business when it comes to
Thank you, kind
this game.
sir.
So yeah, guys, check me out on I have a YouTube channel of my own. I'm at about 406 subscribers now. Yesterday I live streamed some Mortal Kombat. So if you guys if you guys didn't buy the premium version, you want to check out what the game kind of looks like, I play about 30 minutes of the story and then the tutorial and stuff like that, trying to get familiar with the characters. And man, the game feels so good. It's right now it feels like a mixture between MK9 and MK11. It kind of like they took elements of both games. It feels really well, and that tag system is. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much, and I'm really digging that. I think that was a nice little introduction that they did.
Nice.
Also, like Boom mentioned, yes, every Monday night you can catch my scandalous self with Kay Asante. I am the Deadpool, and he is the Cable of the show. Okay, we keep each other on in a nice balance. But yeah, we do talk PCMR, where it's a more PC centric show, but not an advanced PC centric show. Like you need to know the ins and outs of PC. I'm a beginner when it comes to the PC world, so the way that the conversations are had, it's like a previous console only gamer like myself coming into the PC space and asking Kay Asante, who's been doing it for quite a while, questions, and I'll bring up whatever hiccups or whatever discussions that we need to have for the week. So it's a really fun show. We get a lot of interaction from the chat, which is always great. Everyone knows Kay Asante; he's a staple to this community. So just me, guys, just being associated with people like Boom, Web Dave, and Fuzzy, and Kay Asante, and Everborn, and etc. Just the many great people. It really is a pleasure, and it really is a blessing to call you my peers. So everybody, enjoy your weekend. I know it's going to be Starfield or I'm trying to say that it's going to be filled. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
3 times fast.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody be safe, guys, and until next time, I'll catch you on Monday, and Boom will be back on Monday for sure with the lunch special. So everybody tune in, and thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, brother. Well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, great to have you a guest on. Well, not really a guest. This is your home, so you're welcome anytime you want to come and stop by and drop your bars. But ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed the show. I do want to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.